Each human being has a self-concept and a self-image. The self-concept is the individual's concepts, ideas of who he thinks that he is. The idea of the self is translated into a mental image, a self-image, and seen as if it is real. The self-concept is conceptual, ideational, yet it is transformed into a pictorial form and treated as if it is tangible. The individual employs the various ego defense mechanisms to defend his self-concept and self-image, and in defending them, make them seem real in his awareness. The various ego defense mechanisms are repression, suppression, dissociation, denial, displacement, projection, rationalization, intellectualization, minimization, fear, anger, pride, shame, fantasy, avoidance, reaction formation, sublimation, depression, paranoia, schizophrenia, etc. Beginning from birth, the human child uses his inherited biological constitution and social experiences to construct a self-concept for him. See George Kelly, Personality as a Self-Construct. By age 12, the self-concept, also called personality, is more or less in place. Once established, it becomes stable and is difficult to change. The individual at age 63 is pretty much who he was at age 13. That is to say that the self-concept and personality is stable over time. It is trauma to the brain, accidents, organic disease issues, and religious conversion, or conversion to a political ideology, such as socialism, that changes people's basic personality types. Once established, the self-concept can be studied and understood, and where there are dysfunctional aspects to it, efforts can be made to change it. The self-concept is exactly that, a concept, an idea held in mind and defended with the various ego defenses. That idea of the self is rooted in the individual's inherited body and social experiences, two variables he cannot change. Therefore, he cannot totally change his self-concept, unless, of course, he can change his body and society. The science of genetics and genetic engineering, no doubt, will affect this change in the future. Consider the person who inherited a weak body and feels physically weak and sickly. He may have developed a self-concept that says that he is weak and ask other people to help him, to guide him, hence have a dependent personality disorder. While he still has his weak body, he can only change his self-concept only so much. He can study his self-concept, understand it, and modify it within reason, but he cannot necessarily change it entirely unless he changes his body. Secular psychotherapy aims at helping the individual to understand his self-concept, and where there is problem, change it. Spiritual psychotherapy aims at teaching people that they have separated self-concepts, aka ego, and that they need to change them. That they need to return to unified self-concepts, aka Christ self, a loving self. The separated ego self seeks self-interests at the expense of other selves, whereas the unified self, the Christ works for social and common interests. When the self-concept is changed from selfish to social serving, the individual tends to contribute to social welfare, hence feels good about himself. I will not indulge in spiritual psychology here, for if you have followed these essay series so far, you probably have a good understanding of my spiritual psychology. Suffice it to say that human beings must change their self-concepts, from separated to unified, from selfish to social-centered, and learn to work for social interests. The reward for working for social good is peace and joy. We must make no mistake about it. It is very difficult to change the self-concept. As already pointed out, the self-concept is reached in childhood, before age 12, and is influenced by the individual's inherited genes and early childhood social experiences. Society and its culture heavily influence the self-concept, and since the individual really cannot go back and change his genes and society, he cannot totally change his self-concept. We must, therefore, not hope for a perfect self-concept and self-image. The best that we can aim at is a self-concept that gets along with most people in one society. We must move from ego-based self-concept to Christ-based self-concept, from selfishness to social serving. And ultimately, we must relinquish the separated self-concept and embrace our real self, unified self. Salvation is first change of the self-concept, from ego to Christ, and, ultimately, the letting go of all conceptual selves and the acceptance of our one shared self and one shared mind, a return to formless unified self.